It's been more than 100 years since Einstein's miracle year, so we don't think of space-time as being variable as described in his theory of special relativity. The obvious reason for the same is that this radiation at the everyday speeds we're familiar with is incredibly small. The concept, however, is incredibly fascinating to understand. Let's get into it. Time dilation basically explains that for an object in motion, the passage of time slows down as seen by an observer at rest. I can explain this concept using two simple examples. The first being the commonly used example of a light clock. A light clock is a simple time measuring device that uses two fixed mirrors with a photon bouncing between them, where one up and down counts as one unit of time. Now imagine you take this light clock on a futuristic spaceship moving at about 50% the speed of light. If you're on the spaceship with the light clock, you'll be at relative rest with the light clock, and you'll see the photon go up and down in the same manner as if you're on the ground. But what if you're an observer outside the spaceship? As an observer outside the spaceship, I'd see the light clock move in a manner similar to this. Now intuitively, since the photon has to travel a longer path, it'll take longer for this one up and down motion to complete. It'll take longer for one unit of time to pass. Thus we can say that for any object in motion, for an observer at relative rest, you'd see that object move through time more slowly. But the problem with this explanation of light clocks is that they aren't devices we're completely familiar with. So to better understand this concept, let's look at time a little differently. Take this 10-meter piece of land. If I'm moving at a constant speed of 5 meters per second, it'll take me 2 seconds to cross this piece of land. But I always have my headphones on. So the first time I tried this, I was warping along and I realized by the time I crossed the 10 meters, 3 seconds had passed. It's quite obvious to see that I was moving in a diagonal motion instead of walking in a straight line. But for the concept I'm trying to put forward, let's try looking at this a little differently. The first time, my speed was only in the x direction. But the second time, part of the speed was shared in the y direction too. So it took me more time to cover the same distance in the x direction. This idea of sharing of motions between different dimensions underlies all of special relativity, in the sense that motion can be shared not only through the spatial dimensions, but through the time dimension too. Although it sounds abstract, the idea of time as a dimension is actually concrete. If you were to meet someone, you would specify not only a location in space, but an instant in time, a when and a where. So now that we have this idea of space-time, think about what happens when an object moves through space. It moves more slowly in time. See, here's the leap. Einstein proclaimed that every object in the universe is moving at one constant speed, that of light. Objects at relative rest to you move through time at the same speed, but for objects in relative motion, they pass through time more slowly. So the next time you stop to watch a sunset, or you're looking out the window of a car, just think, are you experiencing time the same way everyone else is? Thank you for watching.